School's out already.
One teacher gets COVID and a whole school gets shut down. How happy are the kids at Beaconsfield's Winterfeld Primary, an extended holiday that comes out of nowhere because this teacher taught years 3 and 4 on the first day back.
Spring break!
The government went for the nuclear option of shutting the whole school because the chalky was infectious while at a recent staff development day. 18 months ago, we were told we didn't need to worry about kids passing on the virus. You remember when the great COVID adventure started, there was this huge debate about whether schools should stay open. We have considered the benefits of schools remaining open over the last 2 months, and in the context of our wider public health strategies, determined schools should stay open, that they are safe for staff and students. That's what Andy Robertson said in April 2020. The Premier said, "The health advice is clear that the risk of transmission in schools is very low." Then Delta and Omicron came along and we're worried schools are giant incubators. We're shutting classrooms, thinking about banning unvaxxed kids, putting in extra ventilation.
The bubble's eventually going to burst.
Mark has got to realise the shit is out of the horse. You can't get it back in. He isn't saying he's going to crush and kill the virus anymore, but he's sure acting like he thinks he still can. It's starting to feel a little like the wheels are coming off this wagon. 204 Year 12 students at Harrisdale Senior High School are all in 14-day isolation because one of them tested positive at an orientation program on Monday. It's the first time the school has opened to Year 12 ever, and they're all back home within 2 days. And Bateman's Corpus Christi College is on alert after a student tested positive there. We put all the smart kids in charge of working out how to stop the virus getting in.
Good evening, ladies.
Right, Starling! What's the plan?
All right, just take your seat.
And the dumb ones were in charge of what to do when it actually got here.
My cat's breath smells like cat food.
So who's giving the Premier advice?
Chris Dawson was his right-hand man through this whole thing. Dawson left at almost the exact moment the virus got here. He passed the ball to fellow copper Gary Drybergs.
Double. Well, the field kicking. Oh, been terrible. Oh, Madden has unloaded.
Long-serving Chief of Staff Guy Houston left. He took a massive payout and gave the job to his communications chief, Daniel Pastorelli, who gave the top media job to former Channel 7 News Director David Cooper. Deputy Chief of Staff Joe Gaines quietly pulled the pin, and Health Minister Roger Cook voluntarily took another job at the Department of State Development.
You're fired.
Leaving Greenhorn Minister Amber Jade Sanderson in charge of the greatest shit show west of the Nullarbor.
And don't forget Nigel from Dome.
Nigel Oakey runs the Dome Cafe Group, and he was rolled out at today's COVID press conference at his cafe in Maylands. Omicron's got its foot in the door and is working on its leg. We're running out of food because of floods on the Nullarbor. The mining industry is working out how to deal with the virus now it's in their ranks. Parents are confused by the school rules, and we got to hear Nige talk about flat whites. The Premier's opening address went for 5 minutes. Education Minister Sue Ellery talked for 4. Nigel spoke for longer than both of them.
Hello, I'm happy to take any questions that you might wish to make in relation to the Service WA app or business issues or anything that's affecting, businesses at the moment.
Well, he turned out to be quite the dynamic performer.
Dynamic suppression that just doesn't let it get away from it. It's a really dynamic time, a dynamic suppression, keep changing and being dynamic.
This was an important press conference for parents because all anyone wants to know right now is what happens when more people get it. Are we going to shut down every school if one person tests positive, as happened at Winterfeld? On this point, Sue Ellery was very clear.
The Chief Health Officer will provide advice to the government about that.
Answer my question!
The Chief Health Officer takes into account all of the factors.
You haven't answered my question.
The Chief Health Officer balances all of those things.
But could you just answer the question?
Their Chief Health Officer will provide advice about what we need to do at each level.
Answer the question!
Here's a question. Where is the Chief Health Officer?
Don't know. But turns out we don't need him because we've got Nige, who didn't confine himself to matters affecting hospitality and seemed determined to fill the void left by the conspicuous absence of Andy Robertson.
I would imagine that if you're managing low caseloads and you have isolated isolations, that's a much better position to be in. The virus is setting the rules here, not me, not the government. I don't know, what do they call it, shaking and baking? We might end up with a bit of shaking. I don't want to be baked.
Say that again.
To be fair to Nigel, he ran a big bakery operation in Sydney, so he knows a thing or two about bread.
Go figure. And then McGowan copped a spray after that presser.
He walks out of the Dome and gets called a coward, a muppet, and a dog.
Oh, you said it.
Welcome to Maylands.
He's under a bit of pressure.
This picture won't help him. It's in Thursday's West Australian and shows Kim Ebden, wife of tennis star Matt Ebden, who is stuck 20 stories above her in quarantine at the Pan Pacific. Matt went to the Australian Open thinking he would return on February 5, which Mark McGowan assured him he could. Now he's in 14-day isolation and will miss the beautiful moment his wife gives birth to their son.
The rug was well and truly pulled out from beneath them.
The Feb 5 backtrack burnt McGowan so badly the Premier is now paranoid about putting any new date in concrete, and he doesn't like maths being thrown at him. Back on January the 20th, the Premier said the aim was to get the third dose vaccine rate up above at least 80%. He said today that 37.6% of West Australians 16 and over have had their third dose. He also said boosters are increasing at 1% per day. At that rate, we should hit 80% in 43 days. He was quizzed about this at the presser today.
We'll obviously consider everything, and there's more than lots of factors to consider, including when it's peaking in the east.
Maths schmaths.
So the new rules, they're obviously not far away, but
So what's the end game?
I think, reading between the lines, his plan is based on saving lives and saving jobs.
The existing arrangements are there to save lives and at the same time save jobs. We wanted to save lives and at the same time we wanted to save jobs. Saving hundreds of West Australian lives, whilst we save thousands of jobs,
we
will save hundreds of West Australian lives.
And jobs.
Western Australia recorded the strongest employment growth.
On that point, his cabinet seems united.
Unlike the Prime Minister's.
There's a rat in the ranks. A text message exchange between former New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian and an unnamed federal minister in which Scott Morrison is referred to as a horrible, horrible person and a psycho has been made public.
Awkward.
And now the hunt is on to find Morrison's Judas, which everyone reckons is more likely to be a moderate who is uncomfortable with the PM's social leanings. Barnaby Joyce narrowed the field down considerably when he appeared to refer to the unnamed person as a she, before backtracking and claiming that he used the words "she's out" as a colloquial cricket term which was meant to be non-binary.
Because he's so woke.
Proves that Barnaby is further away from being woke than any of us thought, which is saying something. Foreign Minister Marise Payne was immediately forced to deny it was her, so did Communications Minister Paul Fletcher. ScoMo says he's not perturbed by the revelation, but you can guarantee there will be the mother of all witch hunts going on inside government. And this comes at the same time as stink-eye Queen Grace Tame reignited debate about that photo by saying women are sick of being told to smile, often by men, for the benefit of men.
Give us a smile, love.
I'm Ben Harvey.
And you can wipe that smirk off your face.
For more Up Late, click the subscribe button below.